Hey, welcome to 209coach.com. I want to do a video for you today. And this video right here is going to explain to you on how to practice and how the brain works, how you can ingrain what you are being taught by any coach, okay, whether it be me or someone you're working with, how to make your mechanics really just be ingrained in how you develop your swing. So the first thing I want to explain to you is when you do this, what I would highly recommend for you to do is just have yourself a bat and a mirror, okay? And this is very, very important. I have applied this technique, this kind of philosophy for many years, and trust me, it works. Students and parents have told me that the best thing that they could have ever done for their child is buy a mirror, and this technique, okay, or this kind of approach, this kind of system, trust me, it works, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is, if you don't have a large mirror, if you have a sliding glass door, a large window, somewhere where you can see your reflection, this is going to be crucial for your development, for you to expedite the process of you becoming a better hitter, okay? Now, the first thing I want you to do when you're looking in the mirror, I want to make sure that you have a good setup, okay? And the first thing I want you to look at when you're looking in the mirror is make sure that your hands are between your neck and your deltoid, okay? Now, you see here with Francisco Lindor, he's a great hitter, just great mechanics. He's over here at his setup, pretty much at a setup. He's just barely starting his setup. And you can see it's very obvious, just like you see with all the players that I put on my channel, his hands are between his neck and his deltoid, okay? That's crucial that when you're looking in the mirror, this is what you want to see. Now, your hands can be a little higher, okay? I don't mind that. They can be here where Francisco's are. They can even be a little lower. But you do not want to have your hands out here, okay? This will create tension. This will create a domino effect of other things in the swing where you're not going to be able to use your wrist correctly. You're not going to be able to use your hands correctly, your body correctly, okay? There is a reason why players start the way they start, okay? Another thing that I want you to do when you're looking in the mirror is just make sure you're super relaxed and that you have a lot of flexion in the arms. This is what you see in the best players in the world. You see a lot of flexion and you see that they're very relaxed. And another thing you're going to notice is that most players will have their bat vertical, a little slanted to the left, or you can see it slanted a little to the right, but you will see that for the most part, most players will have a vertical bat when they set up. Again, this is going to allow you to use your wrist correctly. You want to be very athletic when you're looking in the mirror. You can see the lower body here. You can see here that he has a very nice setup. Now, this is not quite direct opposite side batter's box view, but you can see here that he looks very athletic. He looks very relaxed. You can see here that he has a tall neck and that his eyes are pointing directly in the area of the pitcher. In other words, he's not slouching. He just looks very athletic. He looks ready to hit, okay? Now, once you have this particular setup done, okay, one thing I would recommend for you is what I tell a lot of my students. You want to feel very relaxed. You want to have the bat. You can even have it bouncing, kind of bouncing on your shoulder a little bit. This relax the wrists, relax the arms. So just have the bat kind of bounce off your shoulder. And this will show you a couple things. I'll help you with a couple things. First of all, it'll indicate to you that when you do just kind of bounce the bat on your shoulder, that it's lined up between the neck and your deltoid. If your hands were out here and you try to do that, there's no way you could hit your shoulder or in between your neck and your deltoid, okay? So just feel very relaxed. That's what you want to do at the setup. Now, once you get that part of the swing down, the first stage of the swing is the setup. It's going to be the gather. Immediately as we're going to focus right now on the lower body, immediately as the foot starts to lift, you want to make sure you start coiling the back hip and the back leg. Now watch where the belt buckle is right here. You can see it's very obvious. It's pointing direct off the side batter's box view, and this is what I want you to do when you're looking in the mirror. I want you to get your back pocket and start coiling it coiling it towards the pitcher. At the same time, I want you to feel like there's 100% of your weight on your back leg. I want you to feel as though you're really coiling or squatting into that back leg, okay? Now look, watch what he's doing here. You can see here, it's very obvious right here. He's kind of doing a little squat move. See that right there? Now the way this happens is you want to have most of your weight on your back leg. If not, you want to feel like it's 100% of your weight on your back leg. You want to coil the back hip. You want to coil the back leg. Okay, that's very important. And again, you don't want to lunge. You can see here he's not lunging. He's kind of coiling. Pay attention to the belt buckle. Notice how the belt buckle is starting to face more towards the catcher as he goes. That's a great indicator that you are coiling the back hip, the back leg. Again, you want to make sure, feel like 100% of your weight as you're coiling that back pocket in towards the pitcher. You want to feel this, okay? Just do this over and over in front of the mirror. This is just the apex of the gather right here. Now, when you're in the apex of the gather, at the same time, notice how the bat stays vertical, okay? Notice this. This is crucial. This is just, again, the apex of the gather. Now, what I would recommend for you to do at this stage of the swing in front of the mirror, when you get to the apex of the gather, get your foot and just let it settle onto the ground, okay? That way you can balance yourself. Now, when you're at the apex of the gather, what I want you to do is look in the mirror. And this is what I want to see in your swing when you're looking in the mirror. You still want to have a lot of flexion in the arms, okay? There's no pullback yet, and you still want to have a vertical bat, okay? You do not want to have your bat at this stage of the swing, like I see with a lot of players, they're already cocking their wrists, and they're already starting their pullback, and their arms are literally out here, something like that. This is not what you see with the best players in the world. What you see with the best players in the world, at the apex of the gather, you're going to see a lot of flexion in the arms, okay, at the apex of the gather, and you're going to see a vertical bat. Now, another thing you're going to see with the best players in the world, and when you're doing this in front of the mirror, pay attention to what's going on right here, okay? This is really important. Notice when he starts off right here in the setup right here, that his hands right here pretty much start right here, okay? In other words, they're a few inches in front of his foot. Now, as he starts to get into the apex of the gather, notice how his hands have a very, very subtle, okay, very subtle movement. Now his hands are right in front of his back foot, okay? Right in front of his back foot. So again, it's a very subtle move. So when you're looking in the mirror, you're going to know that your hands should be a little bit in front of your back foot. And as you start to coil the back hip, it's just a very subtle move, very subtle. The reason I really want you to focus on this is because if you do not get this right and you start getting your hands and you start moving them from here to literally somewhere over here, you're going to start adding extra frames to your swing. It's going to disrupt your sequence. It's going to disrupt your swing, and it's going to disrupt your load. People don't understand how important the gather is. It's very important. So again, you're going to be at a nice setup. You're going to be very relaxed with a vertical bat. You're going to get to the apex of the gather. You're still going to have the flexion. Your bat's going to be vertical. You're going to put your foot on the ground. You want to make sure that all the things I just mentioned are there, okay? And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. You cannot rush this process. You have to master the setup, and you have to master that apex of the gather before you move on. And again, hover your foot on the ground and look in the mirror and make sure that what I'm mentioning to you, it's all going to look just like Francisco Lindor here. I promise you it will help you to start getting your swing to do this in an actual game. It will help you to do this under pressure. Now, once you get to the apex of the gather, what I want you to do now pay attention to the lower body. You're going to see again that the lower body starting to coil. You can still see the back pocket starting to work towards the pitcher. The reason why, you can see by the belt buckle. The belt buckle right now is pointing direct opposite batter's box view. And the only way this can occur, as you can see here with Francisco Lindor right now, that the belt buckle is facing more in this direction over here. That is pointing more in this direction over here. is because he is coiling the back hip as he's starting to get into his forward move. Okay, that is crucial. So as you're doing this, you want to really just focus a lot right now from the apex of the gather. Just feel the coil. You still want to feel like 100% of your weight is in your back leg, like you're coiling your back hip, your back leg, almost like you're kind of screwing your back leg into the ground, almost like your foot feels like it's going from this to going like that. But of course it's not, because it's going to be on the ground, but you almost want to feel like your foot is twisting out. This is going to create a lot of coil in your back hip, okay? You're going to leave your foot down, of course, but this is the feeling that you're going to have. So in other words, if you were doing this with socks on a slippery floor, your back foot would literally probably slide and flare open like that, okay? That's the feeling you want to have. Now, as you're doing this move, okay, it's crucial now that you're starting your forward move, pay attention to the bat. He's at the apex of the gather. You can see here there's going to be a process that's taking place. His bat starts right here, vertical. Now watch what happens. As the lower body starts to coil, pay attention. Again, as you're doing this in the mirror, you master the setup, you master the apex of the gather. Now you're starting to get into your toe touch. You can see the bat is working from being vertical, again, to being slanted, okay? From being slanted. Now, this is real important, because if you're not doing this, you're going to lose a lot of power. Again, pay attention to the bat. It goes from being vertical to literally facing more towards the field. Okay, you do not want a vertical bat when you get to toe touch. As you're doing this, you want to be applying the pullback with your top hand. Your top hand should feel almost like it's pulling in this direction right here. You want to feel the pullback. You want to feel the resistance. You want to let your back elbow work up, back, and behind you. Again, you want to make sure that your back elbow is working up, back, and behind you. Pay attention to his elbow. As he starts his forward move, notice how the elbow works up, back, and behind him. This is what you want to look at in the mirror. Do not move on to anything else until you can repeat this 100 times, where you can get in the mirror from the apex of the gather, and you have this look like Francisco Lindor right here does. Notice the elbow. Again, pay attention to the elbow. It's down, and it works now up, back, and behind him. The only way this can occur is if you are applying the pullback, if you are applying everything I just mentioned. Now, with some players right here, which I like at this stage of the swing, they get the bat even more this way. To me, I like that. But the point is, you do not want to go from a vertical bat and just leave it vertical, or in other words, you don't want the bat going from a vertical to start working backwards towards the catcher. And I see a lot of young players doing that because they're not applying the pullback, they're not applying the resistance, they're not applying what I'm asking you to do. But you want to do is from a vertical bat, and you want the bat to literally start going almost to a 45-degree angle as you are getting into your toe touch. Now, it's crucial that when you do this move, that you maintain the pullback and just maintain it, okay? Don't release that pullback. Don't release it. And when you stop at toe touch, the thing that you want to do, okay, now you're at toe touch, you want to look in the mirror, you want to have a shoulder to elbow look where the top of your back elbow, they're all lined up, okay? This is crucial. When you're doing this in the mirror, a shoulder to shoulder, okay, a shoulder to shoulder. Here's the other back of the shoulder, and the back of the elbow is right there. The top of the elbow is right there. They're all lined up, okay? You also, what you want to do at this stage of the swing, like I said, you want to make sure your bat goes from being vertical and it's transferring to a pretty much 45-degree angle as you're getting into your toe touch. It's very important that you do this. Now, when you're doing this move, pay attention to what's going on right here. Notice all the flexion in Francisco's arms right here. Okay, this is very important because a lot of times I don't see this with players. Notice how much flexion he has in the arms, okay? As you start to do this move and you start to go from setup to toe touch, watch what happens to his arms. He kind of walks away from the hands right here as he's getting into toe touch. Now you can see there's been a process that's taken place, and his arms now have gone from a lot of flexion to hardly any flexion at all. So basically what's happening right here is, just like I mentioned to you, at the setup, the hands are going to be a little bit in front of the foot. As you get to the apex of the gather, they're going to go to to in front of the back foot, and here is when you walk away from the hands. Then the way this occurs is by applying the pullback. Apply the pullback as you're getting into your forward move. Again, you're feeling that coil of the back hip, the back leg as you do this, and this right here is something you want to master, because if you do not master this, you're not ready for the next move, which is this, the heel plant. Now pay attention to the bat. As you get into heel plant, the next move you want to do is just make sure you maintain that pullback. Notice how his hands are still in that area, okay? In other words, there's still maintaining that wrist angle. You still want to maintain that wrist angle where everything is kind of pointing in this direction. Now again, this is not a direct opposite side batter's box view, but if it was, this bat would look more like this, okay? Now the angle of the camera is a little deceiving, but this is what you want. You want at this stage of the swing, whether at toe touch you want your bat pointing this way, and at heel plant you want your bat pointing this way, and you want your wrist again pointing in a downward in front of the home plate in order for you to have very good angles with your wrist to create a lot of power, to create a lot of width. So what you're going to do is, once you master the toe touch, again, you're doing all this in front of a mirror. This is going to help you to expedite the ability for you to hit at a very elite level. So you're going to get the toe touch, and then you're going to get the heel plant. You're going to stop right there. Now the key point is here. You're going to be at toe touch. You're going to be at heel plant. Pardon me here. You're going to be at toe touch, and watch what happens here. He's at toe touch. Pay attention to the bat. The bat is pointing in the direction of the catcher, and watch what happens here. As he starts to get into his heel plant, watch what happens. The bat is still pointing in the area of the catcher. So when you're doing this in front of a mirror, you want to make sure the bat is pointing towards the catcher, and at heel plant, you still want to see that the bat is still pointing in the direction of the catcher. If it's not doing that, most likely what you're doing is you're starting to release your pullback. When you release your pullback, what happens is the bat goes from here to here. It starts to release. You don't want that. You want to maintain that hinge. Maintain that hinge in your wrist where your bat is literally, your palm is facing in this direction towards the ground. You want to make sure that you maintain that. That is going to allow you to get to a different level in your swing. Now, once you master this little move right here to the toe touch to the heel plant where the bat is pointing to the catcher's glove, what I want you to do is just over and over do this kind of a move right here. Okay, watch what I'm doing right here with the video. The hands are staying back while you can see a blur. You can see a blur behind him, and just do this over and over. And you want at them in the mirror, when you're looking in the mirror, you will see at this stage of the swing, see the blur behind him right here? What you want to see is that your hands are still back. Notice how Francisco Lindor's hands are still back, and notice what's going on with the bat. Just like I mentioned, you can see the blur. You can see the blur, and this blur right here is a great indicator with your hands staying back that you are definitely applying this beautiful pullback in the correct manner. So again, one of the things that I cannot emphasize enough is this move right here. This is what separates the good players from the great players, okay? You just don't see this at lower levels, players that just don't know how to hit. This move right here, as you're doing the hip thrust, okay? And the reason I call it the hip thrust is you really want to feel as you're getting into your toe touch and at your heel plant, okay? You want to really feel like somebody is literally thrusting you right here. It's almost like your body is kind of working backwards, almost in this direction right here. Not only does this give you a lot of power, but allows you to stay back where you're not lunging your hands forward, you're not lunging your body forward. This allows you to hit the ball in a trajectory that's going to launch the ball more like a roller coaster, not a merry-go-round. So again, once you master the toe touch and the heel plant in this area right here where the bat is still pointing in the direction of the catcher, I really want you to really do this in front of the mirror, okay? Make sure when you're looking in the mirror that your hands are staying back, that you see that blur. See that blur behind you? Just do that. And do this with very loose wrists, okay? You want to see your bat. Now watch where the bat is. This is crucial. See how high the bat is at heel plant right here? How much it's above his head? When you're doing this drill, you want to make sure that your bat now starts to shallow, where they see where the bat, how low it is now? See how low the bat is, but yet his hands are staying back? What I see with so many students of mine, okay, I tell them to work on this and they send me video of themselves, and their hands are literally right here after I told them to do this drill correctly, and it's not their fault because it is a process, and their bat is literally pointing this high, okay? So the reason I'm bringing this up is out of experience. This is going to be a hard part for you to master, trust me, but you need to master this. When you're looking in the mirror, you're going to get the heel plant, the bat's going to be above your head like this, correct? And then from here, you get to heel plant. Watch what's going on. The bat is still above your head. But at this stage right here, notice how much the bat has shallowed behind him. But yet, the key here, the hands are staying back as you're thrusting your back hip into the ball. But remember, the only way your hands can stay back like this if you are maintaining the pullback. Maintain the pullback. And if you master this right here, now you're ready for the next stage. But remember, the bat will shallow behind you as your hands stay back. The bat shallows as your hands stay back. Now, when you do this and you're doing that hip thrust, immediately what you're doing is the lead elbow starts to work up to the height of the mouth, and you want to master this right here where the barrel is below the hands. Again, you're doing this in front of the mirror. I'm giving you a lot of great checkpoints, okay? So when you're looking in the mirror, this is what you want to look like, okay? This is crucial. You want to have the lead elbow up to the height of the mouth. You want the forearm here, and you want the bat vertical, okay? This is what you want for the sake of this drill. You want to have these kind of a looks, just like you see here with Francisco Lindor, all right? You want to have a vertical bat. I cannot emphasize this enough. This will start to give you a very, very elite contact, very elite positions in your swing. So again, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing the shallowing drill. Once you master that, immediately let your lead elbow work up to the height of the mouth and just get to the point where your bat is vertical, okay? You do not want a horizontal bat. You want to just work on this. So when you're getting to the stage right here, just stop right there. Stop right there. I did a video recently as how to be your own son's or daughter's hitting coach, your private hitting coach. I give you drills on that video on how to master the swing step by step. For this video right here, all you're doing is mirror work. You're looking in the mirror, and if you look in the mirror and you don't look like this, like how Francisco Lindor does, you're doing it incorrectly. Okay, so you're doing this slowly and methodically, and if you master the setup, if you master the gather, if you master the toe touch, if you master the heel plant, if you master the shallowing drill, this point of contact is going to be very simple. But again, the key in this particular stage of this drill is you want to have the lead elbow up to the height of the mouth, and you want to have the barrel below the hands. Okay, it's crucial. Now, one suggestion that I want you to do when you're doing this, I really want you to feel like your chest is closed, okay? Closed, where you're, in other words, you're not opening up. So at this stage of the swing, you can see here that his chest is kind of pointing in the direction of the of the shortstop, okay? This right here, if you're a left-hander, okay, if you're a right-hander, you want your chest open more in the direction of the second baseman. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. If you are a right-hander, your chest should be pointing more in the direction of the second baseman. If you are a left-hander, it should be pointing in the direction of the shortstop. Now, when you're doing this, I want you to stay closed and just work on just point of contact with your chest closed. Now, once you master this, I want you just to get the full extension just like this. Again, you still want to feel like your chest is kind of closed, kind of pointing in the direction of the shortstop as you do this, especially if it's a ball up the middle, especially on an outside pitch. You do not want to open up because that will cause the bat to shut too quickly, therefore making you hit flare shots, okay? You do not want that. So what you want to do as you're doing this particular drill, you're going to master all the things I said, and then this is going to be one of the last parts I want you to do in the drill. I just want you to finish with both arms fully extended. And I also, when you do this in front of the mirror, this is crucial. When you're looking in the mirror, this is what I want you to see. I want to see both your arms fully extended, and notice here with Francisco Lindor, even this late in the swing, after the ball's taken off, the barrel is below the hands. I do not want the barrel like this when you get the full extension. I definitely don't want that. For the sake of this drill, I want you to finish just like this, with barrel below the hands, with full extension. This will give you a very powerful swing. Okay, it's crucial that you do this slowly and methodically. So just to give you a recap, we're going to start here with the setup. Just like I mentioned, we're going to master that. We're going to then master the gather. We're going to master the toe touch. We're going to master the heel plant. We're going to master this shallow drill. Remember, this right here is so important. The hands stay back. The bat starts to shallow while your hands stay back. And then from there, you're going to get to the point of contact. The lead elbow to the height of the mouth is crucial. I cannot emphasize this enough. You must exaggerate the barrel below the hands. If you do not do that, you are going to start having problems. You're not going to be able to get to an elite extension. And again, when you master that, the next part is you're going to stay close and you're going to let your lead arm kind of work like a hinge. Notice how his forearm catches up to his tricep right here. Notice this move right here. This is crucial. Pay attention to what's going on right here. Okay, this is very important because too many players do not do this particular move. Now watch what's going on right here. I'm going to draw a little line right there where his forearm is, where his tricep is. Now watch what happens. Notice how his forearm starts to get caught up to his tricep. Okay, see that? Notice that. It's like a hinge move. All right, it's like a hinge move right there. That's what you want to do when you're swinging. You want to do like a little hinge move. That is what gives you a very quick bat. Look at this move right here. That's what you want when you're doing the drill. So when you're looking in the mirror, make sure that your arm is working like a hinge. So you're going from the point of contact to immediately to this beautiful extension. Now, if you master this, I promise you, this will eventually be ingrained in your mechanics and you will be able to do this at high speeds. And another thing I would ask you to do, once you master all these pieces, start to slow it down. Just do your swing in super slow motion, very slow motion, just like this, just super slow. Don't rush it, because if you cannot do this in slow motion, there's no way you can do it in fast motion. But again, I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to do this in front of a mirror. All right, I hope you like this video. Give me a like, and thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. The mirror work will help you probably more than anything that you are working on. And trust me, I've been doing this for years and it works. All right, thank you so much.